Hi, everyone. I'm Terralon. Welcome to Time Out with Tinseltown Mom. Today, I'm going to be speaking with Dr. Denise Hunter, also known as Dr. D. Nice. Dr. D. Nice has been a medical doctor for over 20 years and is also an Adolescent Wellness Specialist. She has over 30 years of experience as a youth leader and is a trained youth motivational speaker. Today, Dr. D. Nice is going to talk about how to address obesity with your tween or teen in a loving and healthy way. Hi, Dr. D. Nice. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited that you invited me to your program. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, I'm excited to have you here. So thank you. Can you just start off by just giving us a little bit more insight into who you are and your family dynamic?
I sure can. I think I'm pretty interesting.
Well, your name is interesting. When I looked it up on Instagram, I got a whole bunch of rappers coming up. So I definitely want to hear about the name.
It's funny. I call my sister-in-law dubbed it my rapper name, and that's what I refer to it as. So since we started off with the name, let's just say where the name came from.
Okay.
I am a child of the 80s. I went through high school in the 80s and middle school. I don't know if you're D Nice came out with the song. My name is D Nice.
Yeah, I know
was
that.
Like, well, you know what? My name is Denise. my name is D Nice, and I started calling myself since middle school. When I finished medical school, doctor. So I became Dr. D Nice, and Bojalin is my married name. I never officially changed it when I got married because you can imagine. Hunter seems so much easier for my patients than Bojalin would. My husband's Haitian.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm married. I'm a Haitian and a Jamaican because I was born in Jamaica, actually. A Haitian and a Jamaican meet in Denver, Colorado. What are the odds of that?
That is so funny. That is so funny.
Yeah, I think this year is our 16-year anniversary?
Aww.
Yeah, this year, November, we'll be 16 years married. We actually he is born November 27th. I am born November 29th.
Oh, how perfect.
So what day did we get married?
November 30th?
November 28th.
Oh,
the day in between.
Oh, well, yeah. That makes sense.
So
yeah.
We call it our November triad.
Of course, yeah.
And we actually have 3 boys for our November triad. We have 3 boys. One is 14. The other one is 11 and the youngest is 9. The 11 and 9-year-old have birthdays coming up the end of the month. So I was pregnant or breastfeeding for like 8 years really in a row. We moved to North Carolina 4 years now because unfortunately my father had a stroke about 7 years ago. And when he had a stroke, we just couldn't see him as much. And I just didn't think once a year was enough for my kids to see their grandparents. So we chose to move over here so they can really have time to spend with their grandparents.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, it's definitely a different change of pace, but
it's
beautiful.
Is. Denver is still our favorite, and we're really enjoying our time in Raleigh too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, today we're going to talk about teen and tween obesity. And before we delve into that, I know just from a little bit of research about you, reading about you, I learned that you've had an obesity problem when you were younger. Is that correct?
I sure was. At 15 years old, I was about 50 to 60 pounds overweight. And it wasn't because of any genetic abnormality. It wasn't because I was on any medication that caused that. It was truly because I overate and I did absolutely no exercise. And unfortunately, right now, there are 20.6 of our teens that are obese. 20.6. And actually, I was obese. Let me not say overweight because that's a different criteria.
What's the difference, just in case people need to know that difference?
It's the body mass index. And I apologize if I don't know the number right off the top. I think it's 30. And I apologize. Over 30 is considered obese. And I apologize.
Oh, no,
that
it's
I don't know
okay.
the number
It's
correctly,
okay.
It's yeah, but there's a criteria.
Okay.
For it. But as a teen, I really was, and at 15 years old, through a series of events of teen type stuff, I decided that I need to treat my body better, and I started eating well. All I did really was just cut down on my portion size. I started exercising at Spa Lady. That was the gym across the street from our home. I started going to Spa Lady daily. I remember taking those aerobic classes with the leg warmers around my ankles and my Reeboks. I was geared out. I was ready.
Now, before you started exercising and, eating smaller portions, did your parents or anyone approach you, about your weight?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No. And that's something I actually did an Instagram post about because people, I still remember a friend having a conversation and I'd said to her, I'm so fat. And she's like, no, you're just thick.
Yeah.
You're just thick. I still remember that. And I know she meant it. She was trying to be kind, but it was very obvious. I actually have a weight loss class for teens that I teach. And one of the pictures I show is at me at a pool party. And I was there, beside some of my other girlfriends. And it's obvious I'm about double their size. That's not thick. That was a young woman that was harming her body without really truly understanding. And because obesity, it's so tied to who you are as a person when somebody says that you're fat or you need to lose some weight. If somebody says anything to you, it almost feels like an attack.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unfortunately where society has put that specific thing, where it's not something that you really can speak to people as openly about without feeling that you're going to hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a very sensitive topic.
Exactly. At the time, no one really came directly and said, listen, young woman, let's do something about this. I mean, I'm from Jamaica, so people were really, you're fatty. How come you gained so much weight?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get those comments.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily get, hey, let's, and we're going to get into the better way to have a conversation.
Yeah, right.
Later. Yeah.
Like, now, what do you think, just from your point of view, having been in this situation, and then maybe a teen or tween's point of view, like when they are overweight or obese, are those two different distinctions, overweight versus obesity?
I think medically it is. I don't think the lay public really makes a difference. Everybody, it depends on which word you want to call yourself. In general, I feel that most people kind of interchange those words.
Okay. Well, I'll just say overweight for the purposes of this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you think a teen or tween in their mind, like, what do you think they're feeling like when they realize that maybe they are overweight? I'm not even talking about people teasing them or anything like that, but like, emotionally, do you think like this is an issue for them, like when they're young, or do you think it's an issue more for the parent who sees their child overweight?
It's an issue for them because socially, a teen time in your life, it's a very social time. That is a time, and it's supposed to be that way. This is a time where you're really beginning to pull away from your parents to really test those values that they've taught you. This is a time where you're really beginning to flex your independence and really bond with peers in a deeper level and make those peer connections. And unfortunately, just because it's just the nature of teendom, an obese or overweight teen has this feeling of being left out. When the kids you're around don't necessarily look like you, when you're going to the mall and you're trying to find the latest style, but you can't because they don't necessarily have it in your size. And now it may not be the same exact thing because the fashion are making clothes to fit different body types now, but it was not always that way. So there's this there's this otherness that I don't really look like all the other teenagers that are flipping and flapping around.
Right.
And even though for myself, I'll be honest, I was not a insecure teenager at all. I didn't overcompensate and walk around with my head down. I was very confident in who I was as a person. I always have been. I always say I've got self-esteem bordering on conceit. If you push me, I'll fall into conceit, but it's not. So I've always had a good high self-esteem, but I knew that, hey, this wasn't a healthy thing that I was doing to myself. I knew I looked different. I knew that, honestly, I knew that because I was overweight, there were not guys lining up to ask me out to my senior prom. I knew that. I mean, yeah, I may have a cute face, but during teenage years, teenage boys are not deep. Like, oh yeah, you have a wonderful personality. Let's go to the prom. No,
right.
Like we, and this is not blaming a teenage boy or blaming the teenagers. That's just where you are. That's what, the developmental stage that you are as a teen. And for me to expect to think bad of the boys in my school because none of them asked me out. No, it's not their problem, their fault. They like what they like.
Right.
And a fat teenage girl was not what they were into.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, and what age do you think, and I know it's probably getting younger and things were different, when you and I were growing up, because now there's social media and there's all this competition. There's some good to it where, more, bigger body types are being accepted. But then on the flip side, you still have social media and all these, influencers modeling with their bikinis and, having to look up to that. So from your point of view, you're a medical doctor, like what age have you seen that kids are starting to notice that, maybe they are bigger than their friends and they're starting to feel insecure about it?
If you're a girl, girls notice it from, I would say, elementary school. Girls are, naturally, that's just the development of girls. Guys tend to not be as, they don't tend to be as physically focused as girls. So they'll still go out and run around with their friends, and it's not as big a deal. Not that they don't realize that, hey, my friends are, but little boys, they interact differently, and we know that. They interact differently. Girls tend to, we sit there and ponder these things a little more. Yeah. So I would say for like a girl, I've seen young girls, little elementary school girls, that it's obvious to them that, hey, my body is not quite where it needs to be. I really do feel that we all have an understanding of how our bodies should be, and we know when we're doing the best for it. I just have to believe that. I know that, because when your body is working at its best, it just you know it, you feel it.
Yeah, you feel different.
Yes, exactly, and yes, and it's that thing that's so hard to define, that people, it when you're there, but you can't really tell what it is. And so I really, little kids, they're intuitive. And I think from elementary school, just a long answer to a short question.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that though. Just with my circle of friends, I've heard, moms mention that even in elementary, with their daughters, it's been brought up before by the child, actually. So I can totally see that. Now, just coming back to a parent who may be worried or just concerned that their child is overweight, they're starting to notice that, you have the checkups every year at the doctor and you keep getting higher and higher up the scale. So let's say there is a parent that's very concerned. Well, first off, because, a lot of parents, they get concerned even before they should be concerned. When should they be concerned about their child and their weight? Like, from your point of view as a doctor, I know you see patients, right? So let's say there's an adolescent who you notice they're, 30% over or mass, or however you say it on the index scale. I don't know if I said that properly, so forgive me. But let's say you have a patient who is over that scale of where you would like them to be. Like, what should their first course of action be in helping that child?
So the first part of recognizing if your child is actually in trouble, typically it's when you go to the pediatrician. The pediatrician will usually bridge that comment or point it out to you. This is where they are on the scale, and offer up, like, they're above the scale. And some pediatricians will offer you some advice on what to do next. But you as a parent, of course, this is your child, and you do have a responsibility for your child's health. And it's time to have the conversation with your child. But I will say before you do that, that you need to have a conversation with yourself. Because unfortunately, what happens is it becomes a family thing. It's not necessarily that the teen is just out there gorging themselves on this or not exercising at all. These habits are not because everybody else around them is exercising and they're sitting down, or everybody else around them is eating only vegetables and they're eating donuts.
Yeah.
Typically, that's not the situation. It's a family issue.
Yeah, that's a good point. It does start with, the parent. Like, what am I doing just for the family? Like how I'm preparing meals, like snacks, their lunch. So yeah, no, that's good. So start with, internally, like, yeah, what am I doing?
Yeah,
so,
start with a full assessment of the family of where we are. Can we do a little better as a family? Maybe we all need to tighten up our wellness and our health.
Yeah.
And maybe the answer comes back no, because I can honestly say for myself, at a 15-year-old young woman that was obese, my dad was a thicker person, but we didn't eat a lot of, I mean, we're Jamaican people. All our meals were cooked fresh in the kitchen, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We ate out maybe once every 3 months, 4 months, maybe. We could have even gone years without eating anything from a restaurant when I was growing up. So all our food was fresh and cooked at home. As a teenager, I had my own little money. And I had a Snicker bar every day, the big one. I was so happy when they started making that king size one.
I remember that. Like, yeah, that king size Snickers. Yeah.
Thank you. I was actually happy. I thought they did that for me. Because literally, I had a Snicker bar from the time we came to America. And I came to America in middle school. We were up in New Jersey. I'd stop at the corner store and have a Snicker bar every day. When they went up to the king size, I just thought the Lord was smiling on me. So sometimes it really is the child themselves veering away from the eating pattern of the family.
Yeah.
But the parents should at least just start off and see what role is this? Where are we as a family? What does our health look like? And then next, it really is you have to sit down and talk to your teen. And guess what? There is a fallacy out there, a lie out there, that teenagers don't want to hear anything from their parents. And I think that is an absolute lie that I want to debunk right now. Teenagers want to hear their parents' input on things. They want it. You are the adult that has been with them forever. You understand them. You've lived your life. There's no one else on the planet that has lived life with that set of DNA, a similar DNA to them than you. They want to be connected to their parent. Now, where I feel the disconnect is that parents, they sometimes feel the approach to the conversation. And that's where understanding that these are young people that are growing into their individuality. They're growing into being adults. You definitely want to approach the conversation with the understanding that you're talking to a person that's almost an adult.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So really going to them I actually have an Instagram post that I have on there with my son. One of them, maybe out of frustration, I turned to my son and said, "You're fat, you're overweight, and you need to lose some weight right now." And then I have him exploding into a ball of fire.
Yeah.
And then the next scene, it's a TikTok, by the way.
Oh, okay. I have to look at that.
Yeah, it's there. And then the next scene, I do the whole scene over, and I said, "Hey, son, I'm really concerned about your health. Do you have any time later that we can talk?" You see the difference in that?
Yeah, right.
The difference is that I tell my concern, I tell whatever I have observed specifically, And I didn't just jump on them assuming that they have nothing else to do right this moment than talk about their weight. No, I respect their adult, that they have a time, they have schedule, maybe there's stuff that they want to do, maybe a conversation like that is going to frazzle them and they need time to prepare. So I set an actual time to sit down and talk with them. At least they know that this is what we're going to talk about at 6 o'clock on Sunday. And we sit down and have a real conversation.
That's good. Yeah. And it's good that you mentioned that teens do want to hear from their parents, because as parents, it's hard to know if your child actually wants to hear from you. But that makes sense that they actually want to hear from you, but your approach has to be in line, I guess, with how they're going to receive that information from you.
Exactly. Your approach needs to be like you're approaching an adult.
Yeah.
You need to approach them like somebody, I won't even say, not a peer, because they really aren't your peer.
Yeah.
But still, it's an art that you can learn.
Yeah.
And as long as you really just sit back and respect their time, respect their sense of individuality and independence.
That's good.
And have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Have a conversation with them.
Yeah. So let's say you've got that scheduled time. So now it's time to talk to them about their obesity. Like, how would a parent gently broach that subject? Because it's very sensitive. They might already be insecure about it. Maybe people are teasing them, or like you don't know what they're going through because they don't share everything with you. So how would you gently lead into that conversation? Like, what would you do?
I would just say start off with what you just said. How are you feeling about this? Because you've already told them what the subject is going to be.
About their health, right?
Yeah, they already know what it's going to be about. So you start off with a very open-ended question. This is what I have observed. Sarah, I notice now that we're having to buy new clothes. Start off with something specifically objective. Yeah. Last year, you were a size 12, and now you're a size 18. When we went to the doctor, she said your BMI was 35, and she is concerned. Tell me what's going on. Tell me how you feel about this.
Yeah.
And just tell me where you are with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just make it a dialogue. And honestly, it doesn't have to be a fluffy conversation, all holding hands and singing Kumbaya.
Right,
right.
Yeah.
It's not, it's a sensitive issue, and there may be tears.
Yeah.
There may be tears, but in the end, they need to know that you love them. You're not judging their body. You're not judging their worth in this world, because unfortunately, their worth is being judged by other teens.
Yeah, I know.
It is. That's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But you let them know that you, as their parent, when you bring up their weight, you are not judging their worth. You are judging their health. You want them to be healthy. And unfortunately, society may point out the aesthetics of obesity or the aesthetic of being overweight. Yeah, you can't be a supermodel. Or, well, not now. You have, full-figured models now. But society may really focus on the aesthetic. But as a parent, focus on the health. I mean, some parents truly are concerned about the aesthetic. They don't want a fat child or a fat son or a fat daughter. There's some parents that are truly focused on the aesthetic. But I would say keep that one to yourself.
Yeah, right.
Focus on the health. Focus on the
right.
Health of it, because there's enough health issues associated with obesity to not even care about the aesthetic part of it.
Yes, definitely. And speaking of health, though, sometimes the obesity is tied to a mental health disorder, let's say depression or whatever else may be out there that's causing that child to just overeat. So let's say there's a parent who suspects that maybe mental illness is part of this problem. Now there's two issues here. There's the obesity and also the mental illness. And I know we're talking about the obesity aspect of it, and maybe this is not your area of expertise, but do you have any suggestions maybe on how to approach it? So now you're approaching it a little differently. It's not just, let's talk about you were at this size. Now it's they're in their room eating because they're depressed about maybe the pandemic or whatever.
Yeah. There are times where you may have to bring in a professional, honestly, because eating disorders are real. There is one thing I do want to bring up before we end at all. is that right now there's a body positivity movement out there that I am sort of for and sort of against. On one hand, a lot of it came about from what we're talking about, people with eating disorders just really swinging the pendulum the other way and really destroying their body just to go for the aesthetics, the proper aesthetics, the thin body, to go through the most outrageous things to be thin. You have girls that are eating cotton, girls that are not eating at all, girls that are, and I say most girls because it's predominantly, unfortunately, it's something that affects women in a greater percentage, but girls and guys, though, let's be real, or we just say teens that are just going through all these horrible things to get to this specific aesthetic that it's hard to overcome. I heard a statistics just before I got on here. 25 to 75% of eating disorders can have a genetic component to it, and all it's waiting for is the right trigger to really just set it off. So you have a lot of these kids just seeing this thing that they want to be and just going about it the wrong way. And that we end up with a body positivity movement that doesn't really want people as a whole to starve themselves or damage their body to get down to a specific weight. So we have that. And then, but unfortunately, what's happened is the body positivity movement have turned into something else where they're saying it's okay to be overweight. You're actually, Liz, I could point out a couple instances, Lizzo, Adele, I think it's Stella McCartney, who were actually like bullied online because they wanted to make more healthy decisions and were losing weight, bullied online by members of the body positivity committee. I won't say it was all of them. So it's almost like we love to live in extremes and we can't live in the middle, or which is the importance is health.
Yeah.
A super thin body is not healthy. A body that you're starving down to a certain size is not healthy. A body on the other spectrum where you're saying it's okay, I'm going to stay obese, I'm going to just be great and be good and fat and fabulous. That I can't, as a physician, that's not something I can subscribe to either. It's okay to be confident. It's okay to be a work in progress, but understand that's not health.
That's so good that you said that. That's perfect. And just as we wind down, can you talk a little bit about the program that you offer for, I think, teens and tweens? Is that correct?
Yes. Well, teens mostly. It's
teens,
just teens,
okay.
Just teens, because I do teach it at a level where you have to have had some mental development that is more specific for teens, how it's taught. But it's called body hacking your body system to get to health gain and your ideal body size. And that what I just spoke about earlier, about the one hand you have the eating disorder and the other hand you have body positivity. My class sits in the middle where I really emphasize health. And it's not really health at any size. Unfortunately, to me, that statement is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
You cannot be healthy at any size because I can tell you what is happening to your body when you have excess fat in it. Your internal organs are not functioning at its best. Your joints have extra pressure on it and are being damaged by this extra weight. So it can't be necessarily health at every size. It is emphasis on making healthy habits to be the healthiest body you can. And unfortunately, that's what the class is. We offer it every month. The first class actually we just started it yesterday. It's a 8-part class. And when I say we run it every 2 months, and our new segment just started yesterday. It's 4 classes in a row, 4 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then 4 Sundays in a row, Sunday, 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 Sunday. So that's 8 classes over the course of 5 weeks. We really enjoy ourselves. I teach the children hacks, for example, the teens hacks. There's one hack that we have 4 sections: your mind, your mouth, your move, and your rest. And in each of those segments, they learn about 6 or 7 hacks. One hack that I teach them, that it takes about 25 minutes for the message to get from your stomach to your brain that you're full. unfortunately, most of us tend to inhale our meals in like quick 10 minutes, and you just never feel the feeling of fullness. And our body wants to feel full when we eat. So set a timer. Set a timer for about 25 minutes. Give yourself an extra 5 minutes and take your time, chew your food, and enjoy it over the 25 minutes. At the end of it, you'll feel full and satisfied and will feel less likely to go back for seconds or to eat more.
That's an excellent hack. Now, is this an online program or is this something?
It is.
Oh, okay, so if someone's interested, they could just go to, well, why don't you just, tell us where we can reach you if we want to know more, if people want to know more about you. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Dr. D. Nice, for being here today. It was such a pleasure to have you. Your wealth of information. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really love teenagers, and I really want them to live their best life. I really do.
Yes.
And if helping the ones that struggle with weight is what I need to do, that's my world. That's my niche in life. And they can find me at wisdomteethinger.com. It's wisdom, teeth, ING-er. Wisdomteethinger.com is my website. And of course, you can find me on Instagram at dr.dnice Beaujolin, Beaugin. But once you put in Dr.Dnice, I usually pop up. You'll see my smiling face right there. I have a mouthful of teeth, and I love to show them.
You have beautiful teeth. I'm seeing it right now. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening to Time Out with Tinseltown Mom. If you liked what you heard today, please be so kind and rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time.